Good evening, everyone. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Great to be with you tonight. It is November 11th. By the way, I do want to thank all the many men and women that gave their life for us and fought so we can have our freedom today, as well as those that are continuing to prepare and still allow us to keep our freedom. I do want to give a special shout out to West Point today. Went to go see a game with Army versus Holy Cross, and it was an amazing game. If you guys ever want to go to a football game, definitely check out West Point because that was a pretty incredible game with cannons going off, and the energy at that game has been more than any other football game that I've ever gone out. Maybe a Super Bowl, might be a little less a Super Bowl, but still, the energy was just amazing, and it was just something to be there. The experience to be at Mikey Stadium in New York. So definitely a pretty cool thing. And I do want to thank all the men and women that have definitely sacrificed for us. I do appreciate that. And also there are 9 soldiers that actually re-enlisted because their time was up and they really re-enlisted to keep serving our country. So I'm grateful for that. But let's get into our master topic in just a second. There's a QR code at the top right. So what I would encourage you to do is just grab your camera, point over the QR code like so, touch the yellow lips. You'll get my link tree, as easy as that. You'll notice there is a brand new section, which I will show you right now. You'll notice that we have a section on there called Tools for Pod Hosts and Guests. So definitely check that out. And just a lot of great stuff. Whether you're here at 10:30 at night, 10:30 in the morning, 12 noon, 12 midnight, 4 p.m., 4 a.m., thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me that you value this content that I produce every single day and deciding to incorporate into your life. And I do want to let you know what I do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur and a podcast host and a podcast coach and specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. Now, I typically work with companies that bring in 16 million or more, and they either have a story that they want to share or perhaps, they don't know their story and they want me to find out what that is, and I'm happy to do that for them. So definitely reach out to me if you'd like to. You can do that by going to believemeachieve.com or reaching out to me at orbitalmediahub.com, and my team and I will be happy to help you with your next project and get the word out or create some amazing content to keep people curious about what you do. Remember, all the posts I make, they don't get banned. And the reason they don't get banned is because I don't sell in my posts. They're all about arousing curiosity. And that's what gets people interested to want to have conversations with me. So let's get right into that master topic, shall we, everyone? All right. Our master topic, everyone, are you ready for it? It is Unlock Success, a journey into entrepreneurship and inspiration. I do want to let you know that we have a great guest coming up this week. We always have great guests. But we have a great guest coming up this week. We have a gentleman coming up. He's actually a surgeon, Dr. Gary Simmons, who's international recognized neurosurgeon. He's to be talking to us later this week about how to prevent burnout. So definitely lots of great stuff. And then on Wednesday, we have another gentleman who will be talking to us. So I think you guys will really enjoy that. His name is Kurt Nelson, and I think you guys are going to definitely get some value out of him and what he has to bring to the world. I think you guys are going to enjoy that whole story. So definitely stick around. We got some good guests, and we try to bring you a guest or two a week if we can. We want good quality guests here on the show, and really just grateful that we have those. So let's get into our first subtopic of the master topic. And I think that's probably the best place, to start. And so the thing I want to talk to you tonight, because, success, I want to let you know, it's not a destination. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is actually the process. It's the entire journey. All right. And so the first one I want to talk to you about is be committed. So when we talk about being committed, people get a little confused. And they say, "Mate, John, how do I be committed?" Well, I think commitment is something that has started to falter over many days, and we commit to something not because we have to, but because we want to. And thinking about commitment, we have to be truthful with ourselves. You know what we observe, and that goes on a lot of different levels. We have to have that intention that's very clear. And, we have to understand that commitment is a choice, right? Commitment also comes from common values, goals, and a joint reason to guide your life to those specific aspirations, those choices. And I know what you're saying, John. I've done commitment before and, I don't want to commit. And I get that. Maybe it's a relationship. And I get that you may not want to commit. But if you don't want to commit to something in your life, there's a chance that it's probably not something that you want to do. I talk to a lot of people at many different stages of their lives. Some people that are just, let's say, checking things out for the first time, and other people that are very clear that this is the way they wanted to do something. And in order to be committed, whether we're talking about a relationship or we're talking about, your goals, I think a lot of people, how can I say this? They get confused. And the reason they get confused is this. There's so many things popping at them. And they're afraid that they might be making the wrong commitment. But I want to share something with you. If this is something that's resonating in your heart, okay? That's why I always tell people to meditate on things and to come back, because when something is in your heart, you're going to want to commit to it, okay? Now, we've had questions from people, and they say, well, John, this person doesn't want to commit, like in a relationship. Well, commitment issues can be very complex. And there's a few things you may want to look at to recognize them within yourself or others. Maybe you avoid making future plans for yourself for a goal with a partner. You don't want to talk about things in regard to the future of a relationship or the future of something in your life. Serious or long-term relationships are always out of the question for you. Lack of emotional attachment, a delayed response to calls and text. You just feel like you'll get back to whatever. Flaky or inconsistent behavior. You nitpick every little small thing. Poor communication and a history of short-lived relationships. Now, does that mean that everybody has to have a commitment with somebody? No, it doesn't mean that. I think what we're talking about is the fact that commitment is something you should want to do. Let me say that again. Commitment is something you should want to do. Want to do, right? And you're going to find that commitment might be the toughest thing you ever have to do in your life. We're afraid of risks. We're afraid of what might happen if we take that choice, because there's a chance it could be successful, but then we're also afraid that it might not. And this gets a lot of people into a state of fear, so much that they don't even want to move. People say to me, John, when is a good time to commit? Well, I think that's something you have to answer for yourself, right? Your goals are important to yourself and the goals of a group, right? Maybe how much time you put into something, how much effort, the satisfaction you get from doing this type of work, or what's some other reasons that make you want to commit. And I know a lot of you, with us coming up into the holidays, commitment might be tough. Okay, commitment might be tough. So people ask me, do I have to commit in life? Well, you don't have to commit to everything, but you do need to commit to some things, right? You might say, well, hey, John, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have a relationship. Well, that's your choice. Um, don't get sidetracked and confuse involvement for commitment. Okay. When you want a project to succeed, you invest yourself in it 100%. Okay. Because if you don't, okay, you know it's not going to work. And you don't just want to be involved. So let me give you an example. Maybe you're on a committee, and so you go to this committee. It could be a town meeting. It could be anything, a specific cause, a charity, and maybe you're in charge of, I don't know, community outreach or membership, and you feel that if you just go and you show up to the meetings and you just talk to a few people, that's enough. Well, that's being involved. That's not being committed. Committed means you're fully planted and you're ready to give it all you have. What I want to share with you is a very important quote from Ronald Mark Bloomberg, Boomer. And he says, and I quote, competing in sports has taught me that if I'm not willing to give 120%, someone else will. This reminds me of a quote that I always say, that if you're not willing to bring your A game to the table, someone else will. So we're wired to keep going. Every time you think you're at the bottom, you connect to an inner part of yourself, um, and that propels you forward just a little bit more. There's a great song, never give up, never give in. Quitting can appear easier than just taking a few steps forward, but it has a lesson for us, and it's a very expensive one. Before you decide to quit, you've already invested time, effort, energy into things, including your own resources. And when you're at the initial start, planning also took time for you to get there, right? There's another quote I want to share with you by Sun Tzu. I quote, throw your soldiers into positions from whence there is no escape, and they will prefer death to flight. If they will face death, there is nothing they may not achieve. Officers and men alike will put forth their uttermost strength. So I know that's a little bit hard, but I mean, it does get at the point. Do you know why people quit? There are 3 reasons in life why most people will quit. They're seeking perfectionism, and they haven't gotten it yet, so they're like, I better quit because I'm never going to get there. They have a lack of faith that things are going to work out. They have an inability to keep commitments due to the fact that, well, it always goes bad in the past, and I always quit in the past. You have to remember to commit to something bigger than yourself. And I want to share another quote from Vince Lombardi, the American football coach. And it is this, quote, individual commitment to a group effort, that is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, a civilization work. That's pretty important. And I feel that when we commit, others will commit, and there's like this natural flow in our lives. But flow doesn't just happen like you turn on the faucet. Does that make sense, everyone? I know that sounds crazy. Think about that for a moment. I think commitment will scare some people, but I also know that if you talk to people that have been committed, they'll be like, oh my gosh, like they did it. So if you ask people for advice on commitment, okay, you're going to get all different answers. And it's important to know that you have promises and you have hopes, but you don't have any plans. A quote I want to make from Sammy Davis Jr. You have two choices, your commitment versus your fear. When you learn something from people or from a culture, you receive a gift. And it's that lifelong commitment to preserve it and build upon it. See, everyone just thinks it's about, walking in and just getting it. But that's not how it works. Thanks so much, Rekable. I do appreciate that. So I think, it could be something as simple as you're committing to get yourself a new car. It could be the fact that you want to commit to getting up early each morning, right? There could be lots of reasons for commitment. Let's take our soldiers, for example, right? Our soldiers are committed to keep fighting. They're committed to keep fighting. They know that the fight is not easy. They know that. Steve Hall made another great quote. And here's the quote. The truest form of love is how you behave towards someone, not how you feel about them. I want to share another quote from Madeline L. Engel. And here's the quote. If we commit ourselves to one person for life, this is not, as many people think, a rejection of freedom. Rather, it demands the courage to move into all the risks of freedom and the risk of love, which is permanent, into that love, which is not possession, but participation. That's pretty cool. I want to share another one with you by Kevin Dellinger. Quote, often we find ourselves in a trap of commitment, wondering if your partner can be faithful to you completely. Most people will not commit to this kind of relationship. But if you found your soulmate, this will not be a challenge for you. It all depends on the actions of yourself and your partner. And the last one I want to read you by Carlos Wallace. If you promise to love, trust, respect, support, and stand by someone, no matter what, do not just speak those words when times are good. Live those words when challenges arise. The stronger the love and commitment, the more unbreakable the bond. United hearts will never be easily divided. Again, Carlos Wallace. So I think commitment is something we can constantly keep evolving and learning from. It's not going to be an easy thing. Hey, Henry, John, thank you so much. Really do appreciate the great comment there. But again, as I'm about to wrap with you guys, I do want to thank you for being here. And please be sure to scan the QR code or go to believemeachieve.com and click on that link. Help keep our content free. Make the choice. Buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, covers bowl desserts. We'll be so grateful for those pennies and dollars. We'll invest into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most committed, desirable, jaw-dropping content to be a game changer in your life. Now, you guys know my commitment to you. Inspirations for your life, regardless of what time I get home, regardless of what I'm doing. These shows every day get published before my head hits the pillow. Why do I make that commitment? Not because I have to, but because I want to. I want to deliver high quality content that can be the food for people's mind. I mean, we don't skip a day to eat, right? So I never skip a day in giving you motivational content. Please do check out all my great stuff. And if you guys are still wondering who I am, well, I'm going to share that with you one more time because I think that's important to share. I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm also a podcast host. and a podcast coach, and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and, of course, more profitable. So, I can help you tell that story. And, I'm always working to give you great content. And I'm very grateful that we're going to have a neurosurgeon on and another great gentleman on later in the week, because I think we all can learn from people. You might say, well, John, I know how to do that. Yeah, I was one of those people once. And I've learned that even though I might know something, if I can just be humble enough to embrace it from other people, I can learn a lot more. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And I hope that you guys have taken a moment to really thank all of our wonderful men and women that have gone forward for us and served. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I say thank you. I say thank you for the sacrifices they made in the past, the sacrifices they made today, and the sacrifices they're going to make in the future. And they said something very interesting at West Point Academy at the game today. They said that these men and women here, they're fighting because of you, because of the American public, to keep you safe. And when I heard that, I mean, I knew it, but when you hear something, that chord touches you in a way. And I think if we can just figure out how to find just a little bit of strength, just a little bit, the rest of it will come. Okay? Right? If we can just get the lid open, just budge it a little bit, the rest of it'll just come, right? We only need to move it a little bit, and then the rest will just happen. Have yourself a fantastic one. I'm going to catch you guys real soon. So have yourself an amazing night. And again, thank you so much, veterans, for your service. It is truly very grateful that you have given your lives, and those that have are still alive, and also those that have gone before us. And my heart goes out to them, to those alive, those that have passed on, and to all their families, knowing that your relatives, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, cousins, neighbors have truly made sacrifices that are making America so great and enjoyable as it can be today. Thank you so much, everyone.